G'day guys, so I just had to run down, make a quick video. So I'm on Facebook here on the 2015 plus STi WRX group. Now, there's a bloke I'm talking to on there. As he turns slowly, he's getting a click, 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 click. Now, this might be a confusing video. I'm a little bit tired, a little bit pissed off, right? Because there's one thing about rack rattle. Now, rack rattle, I don't know exactly what it is. It's obviously the steering rack rattling around. I think it'd be more inherent to McPherson strut suspension. I don't believe the WRX does it. I believe it's just the STi. And for many, many years, I've seen Peugeots and other cars with a shock absorber on the rack. So rack rattle is when you do a U-turn on bumpy grass or gravel. Rack rattle's when you turn into a street, and it's not just bumps, but there's sort of sharp little things, and it'll go much like a sway bar that's lost its bushes on a Commodore. That's the exact same noise they used to make. Now, what shocked me is the bloke I'm talking to on Facebook right now has a 2018. So when he turns his steering, it goes click, 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 click. He says it's over bumps and hairline cracks in the road. Hairline cracks in the road should not be triggering a noise. Now, to further compound this, I mean, I was a mechanic for 27 years, and right at the end of it, I got a lot of outbacks with front center diff issues and stuff like that. I know Subarus can be very difficult to diagnose when the DCCD fails. It can sound like a wheel bearing, and it just confuses everything. To further confuse it, if you've got quite bad disc run out, you can have instances where when you turn the wheel slightly, you'll get a tap, tap, tap from the pad running in and out. Now, I don't believe that's what I heard in his quick video, but he's received an email from Subaru saying it's normal. Now, I don't know if he's getting rack rattle or not, but I'm just wondering, guys, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this video and then post it on the Facebook page. Is anybody else having not rack rattle on dirt roads and throwing it into corners and turning on bumpy whatever? Turning slowly when there's a bit of bumps on the road, getting a click, 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 tap, 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 tap from the front wheel, it would drive me crazy. As I've said in other videos, the reason I like Subaru is the suspension is actually relatively quiet and well put together, even though really it's just McPherson strut. It's not double wishbone like a Mercedes or a Honda or a Jaguar or an Alfa or an Audi, and you know, nor would we want it to be. But you know, it kind of pisses me off because I've had other cars like Honda Accords where Honda said I was the only one with the faulty valve body, but they had 20,000 faulty valve bodies from the US, from Ohio, because their drill bit was shit that was drilling the valve bodies. So, number one, when car companies tell you things are normal and you're the only one, that's one thing. Another thing is that this bloke's been back 4 times. Now it's apparent people have had some steering racks replaced here and there. Now, there's nothing that can actually go wrong with a steering rack. Like, it's held on by 2 U-bushes for the last 50 years, right? And Subaru are great at doing things in a very basic way. There's nothing to it, okay? It's bolted on. There's quite a bit of reinforcement in that area here on these cars, but it's bolted on with 2 bolts here and 2 bolts there. Subaru sort of do it a bit the other way around, but you know, it's not mounted up on the body up high like some other cars and stuff like that. So I don't understand how they can go and replace a steering rack on 2018 model cars with what, 10, 20, 30,000 Ks, when really the only thing that can wear out there is the actual bloody rubber bush, which can't wear out unless you pour oil all over it and loosen the bolts and kill it. So there's a lot of stiffness in this car. They've made a design flaw with the rack rattle. I believe it was going on from the model before the 2016. Here we go with the dog. I don't care about that dog anymore. So, okay, so this is what this video is about. We need your help, guys. We've got some really cool guys here going back in a Subaru regarding rack rattle. Now, it's sort of a coincidence that I made that dirt video and said despite the rack rattle on Facebook. I know the rack rattle is inherent it's something that I don't care about. But when it happens, it just sounds like, you know, I'm throwing this vape at the car or something. So, you know, it sounds like you're going it's like a bouncing. So now, bear in mind, to further compound it, the earlier models had faulty strut towers where they wore a notch in it. So when you turn the steering, you get click, click. They're all in my videos. So, unacceptable, Subaru. Sorry for the ranting, guys, but it's absolutely unacceptable. What are they going to do with the next model? What are they going to do? Put on a modular platform and dump all this crap back into the other model? Put an FA20 in it? Keep the same gearbox? What are they going to do? I mean, they're doing pretty well, but this Japanese factory is at its limits. Also, I mentioned on Facebook, with my 2016, there's only two nuts holding the engine mounts here. They're very accessible. They're all 14s. Now, with the 2016, this nut here was completely left loose by the factory. I don't know how the hell that happened. But also, on this side, you can go back to my videos, there was a few bolts that really were not done up properly. So, obviously, the workers at Subaru are not very happy. This is a new generation of Japanese. These are not the same Japanese people that were making Hitachi transistor radios that lasted 100 years and whatever like that. So anyway, I better go. My dog's done a runner. But if anyone can help us here in Australia from the US, there's far more of you. And, you know, have you guys had this kind of rattling noise? There he is. Have you guys had this rattling noise? Isn't it funny how, do you know why old men are always in a rush? Because their testosterone levels are falling down. See, I've gone feral with this because it's an injustice. So, on my 2016, I had a leaking rear gearbox cover. Okay, now over the phone they told me it was data dot technology while I was having yellow gear oil dripping out on me brand new at the workshop. Not to mention the engine oil leak I had, which they said was a dipstick O-ring. Now that was all fixed to the best sort of practice by a very top foreman in Subaru, despite the intercooler being damaged at the time by someone else, I assume. So then they put a new intercooler in. So what I'm saying is, guys, you do not want to be going and getting your steering rack replaced when the car has got inherent steering rack rattle. Now, to further compound it, right, what was that noise I had when it was new? When I was turning, do you remember? It was going... So I was turning the wheel and the steering was moving. Is that normal? Obviously, it was something to do with the diffs running in. It is a very complex car in the drivetrain, but man, if they can't get this right at the end of the model run, what's going to be going on with the 2020? We're watching you, Subaru, very carefully. You need to be very careful what you're doing, because hopefully by 2020, Australians will have some protection. And when the cars are in the dealers for 6 weeks, we're going to get a bloody new car like they do in the US. So I'm very happy with mine, but man, there's no way I'm keeping this car for more than 40,000 Ks after what I'm hearing. You know, what about the blow-by and all stuff like that? It's a great car, but at the end of the day, Subaru, we're going to one day be protected. Okay, my car was in there for like 6 weeks, and I still have my Liberty. Guys, does anyone want to buy a flat 6 Liberty cheap with the same gearbox and all that? Because I was too scared to get rid of it in case this thing went back in for 6 weeks. You know, I'm scared to look under it, but this is what happens when you buy a new car and you get burned. This one's been great, but then again, I'm seeing people with problems. People are having starting problems and stuff like that. So, you know, once Australians get the actual protection, like the US, once your car's in the dealership for 6 weeks, you get a brand new car. So, for the bloke on Facebook, when Subaru tells you that it's normal and you're turning and it's going clunk, 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 tell him to come and pick the car up, give it to his wife, and give you her Outback, because they've all got the Outbacks, because they won't drive these because they're too hard to drive. I've met them. So it absolutely makes my blood boil that this continues. you know, in Australia, we just get treated like shit. And I'm not talking about the fantastic people at some of the dealers that we know that are on the Facebook group, but at the end of the day, it's time to tell the truth, guys. So let's follow this up. Does anyone help us from anywhere around the world? I know there's not many of you in New Zealand, but have you guys had this? We don't have a very cold climate here. Most of 2018 guys are looking after their cars really, really well. You know, very few of us are actually bashing these cars around on the dirt. There's not much dirt roads in Sydney, but our roads are quite bad at the moment. Okay, now technically speaking, number one, I'd put the car up on the hoist, check for loose sway bar links, make sure your wheels are torqued up. Seen plenty of cars with loose wheels. Seen plenty of cars with loose wheels at the end of my tenure at the workshop, and I'm talking about cars that were serviced at dealers like Kia and of course Holden and stuff like that. So you get, when you turn, the camera's just fucked, when you turn, right, you can have a slightly loose wheel, but when you turn, you'll hear stuff like that, right? Loose CV joint nut. But I don't believe it'll be a loose CV joint nut from what I heard. Anyway, that's that. If anyone can help us, just make some comments below and then I'll go and put them back on Facebook for this other guy. Has anyone had a steering rack replaced and had the noise alleviated? Is there a update for the steering rack or any of the bushes? I don't think so, because they would have updated the sunroof rattle and the head unit. So also we're now having again the complaints of the clutch pedal clicking 2/3 of the way down. Click, 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 click from something up the top. Look, cars have problems, but this is not acceptable. Okay, we've got here a drivetrain that's running for many, many years, and now what? They're going to make a brand new STi? I don't think so. They can call it a modular platform. It's going to be exactly the same thing. Oh, looks good there. But, man, if I had that knocking noise, I mean, I'd go crazy. Like, you know, it's not a matter of being angry or whatever. Just remember, guys, don't react, respond. Okay, I'm getting upset about it, but it's just, for so many years, I've heard this sort of email back and forwards. I mean, what about the bloke taking the car back to Subaru 4 times in a row? Why is his car going click, 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 click when he turns a corner? Actually, mate, if you want to store that video on the cloud and I can put it on my channel, I've only got 2,500 subscribers, but I'm sure if I give it a good enough title, I mean, the whole world's going to see it. Do you know what I mean? How about we put Subaru WRX steering is falling out of my car? My steering is falling out, because why should you think any different? Okay, so you've got tie rod ends, right, going in there, and they're bolted up, and then you've got them in a ball and socket. This has gone on for 60 years, the rack and pinion, and it was actually invented in Australia, in Adelaide. But you know, you get this, you get a vibration through this very long component through the car, and it's got to do with the stiffness of the car, I believe. But man, has anyone else got this going on? Okay, I've had a few videos, I've noticed people have said, oh, you've always got problems with your car. Do you know what? Shut up. It's not my problem this time. It's someone else's, but I'm sure it's going to happen to all of us in the end. So people saying, oh, you know, you got problems with my car because I find a loose vacuum hose on a $63,000 car. It's my problem, is it? No, it's not. So Subaru's now milking us. They've gotten away with this for too long. They've taken the TPMS out for Australia when this car reacts adversely to tyre pressures. I suggest to the bloke with the knocking, put your tyre pressures up to 48 on the front and see if it makes it worse. And it could very well be rack rattle, but I just don't understand how rack rattle's triggered by more severe bumps. Anyway, I might cut this video down because I'm making myself nauseous now. 14 minutes of abuse. Anyway, guys, help us in Australia, because we have no consumer protection against these manufacturers. Okay, I've had no issues so far. Oh well, I've got the leaking rear shock, so that's going to be fun now, but they'll do that, and I know they're good like that. But we need protection from when people say that knock, 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 bang, bang, bang is normal. No, it's not normal. His car should go in a Subaru. He should get a loan car, and after 6 weeks of not fixing it, he should get a brand new STI or get a refund. That's the law in America. It's called a lemon law, you know. So anyway, loose calipers can cause that too. Disc run out, as we said, but I don't think so. I reckon he's you know, wouldn't it be good if in these situations, because see, diffs cause these sort of things. There's a lot of issues in Hondas with diffs binding, but I don't believe he's got a binding diff. The issues are with diffs like that, you really do just want them to blow up on the spot. Baby, don't move. Sit there. Yeah, you'd rather the diff blow up than carry on for 3 weeks and 3 days out of warranty and then pack it in while you're, got no protection. So stuff like that. Anyway, guys, bye.